Hey, hey, greetings and welcome back once again. You guys, hold on. I'm trying to fix a glitch that I saw yesterday. So hold on, come on in, press like, thumbs up. You don't know. All right. I wanted to fix something real quick. Greetings and welcome back once again. I pray everybody doing well. This is Amuna. How are you today? We got some downtime. I was doing the simulcast thing and I realized that the Facebook fam wasn't getting no love because I couldn't see them in the chat while I'm over here on StreamYard. So I had to fix a little something and hopefully that works out. That was one of my main motivations for going live today. How are you? Let's drink some water to that. I was in the mood. I was in the mood. I was in the mood. I'm over here editing. Y'all don't get me started. I'm over here editing the. Can I be heard? Let me know if I can be heard. I'm over here editing the. What do you call it? What are we gonna call her? Miss Carrot. OC. OC, stop already. Yeah, I could be. I could be heard. So we did the little video. I'm editing it, but I said let me come on here real quick. And someone we know is turning another number. Yay! She's smiling. Her siblings are like, they all be geeked, yo. They acting like they getting big. They woke me up early this morning. Mommy, I'm like, yo, what are you doing up so early? They moving, they're exciting. And it just had me reflecting, like, wow, time does not wait. When we were smaller, I guess I'll sit and chat a little bit. When we were younger, I mean, is my head kind of big in this? Do I need to push it back a little bit? Shadow, don't I? They be like, Mommy, why you be saying crazy stuff? It's a little close. Like, I'm the type of person who be like, yo, what's going on here? Push it back a little bit. That's a little better. It felt like it was like all in my face. Um, I forgot what I was going to say.
You were reminiscing on something.
Huh?
You were reminiscing on something.
Oh, there we go. Reminiscing. Let me see here. The topic is time waits for no one. That's the topic. Time waits for no one. No matter how much we want it to, no matter how much we wish it would, no matter how much we look back in the past, I remember, and I'm dealing with little ones, and I have to hear them, struggling with and fighting with the reality that they were this small and now they're this big, right? And I often find myself saying, and then I did it when I was young. Nobody really like, hey, slow down. Like, oh, I can't wait till this happens. I can't wait till that happens. I can't. And then you spend your whole life in anticipation of the future. And I had to have this conversation with someone I know recently. Is that we spend most of the time that we are present waiting for something to come. I can't wait. Especially when we like, I can't wait till the first day of school. I can't wait till this happen. I can't wait till that happen. And we live our whole, especially younger life. I can't wait till you grow up. And then you have adults saying they're tired of adulting, and now they see the value of the stage that we were at. And I don't know if it's a human situation. Y'all let me know. This I'm just having a little chit chat. I don't know if it's a human situation or I don't know what it is, but for some reason it's difficult for humanity, a lot of, not all, but a lot, to be content with where we are presently. And they say if you live in the future, then you're anxious, right? If you live in the past, you're depressed. If you live in the future, you become anxious because you're always anticipating. And few of us have mastered the ability to be present, meaning to be wholly present in the moment, enjoying what is happening or learning from what is happening or gaining from what is happening in the present. For some reason, it's very difficult because it's so fleeting, like right now and then it's gone. We find it difficult to be present. So even in this day and age, I saw a picture. What was the picture? Let me see if I can find the picture. The picture was this, I think. Hold on. How's everybody? What are your thoughts on that? How well are you in being present? Are you able to be present? Are you do you if you I guess you can reverse engineer it in this way. If you feel highly anxious about something, that may be that you'll be living in the future. We're anticipating what's going to happen. It's stressing us. You know what I mean? We don't know what to do. If you can't see a future, if the future is dim, if you don't have any hopes, if you are depressed, that may be that you're living in the past. Something happened in the past. You feel disempowered by what happened. You don't know what to make of it, or you're missing a lot of pieces about it, and so you keep reflecting on it, and then it keeps you stuck. It's like I liken it to driving. I think I've said this before. I liken it to driving. In our cars, we have the rear view mirror, we have the side view mirror, and we have the front windscreen, right? The what do you call it? Windshield. Okay. If you are too much at any point looking at any one of them without reflecting on all three of those mirrors, they're all windows. So two are mirrors and one is a window. Oh, and your back window. If you at any point do not find balance in looking, for the majority of the time, you have to look through that front windscreen. But depending on what type of maneuvers you're making, you might learn to look to the side or you may need to look to the back. That's kind of like life. Some people like, that was in the past, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? All gas. No, that's not wise. You know what I mean? You need to reflect. You Uzziah, shout out to my brother. That's my brother from another mother, man. Uzziah always come through. Balance is key. We shouldn't be too anxious about the future, neither should we be stuck in the past. That's absolutely facts. That is absolutely facts. But I notice even children do it. If there's something that we think that is more favorable and desirable than where we currently are, we kind of fantasize or we kind of daydream about it, and we put it as something that we should attain. And oftentimes when we get to that point, it's not what we thought it was, because when we're idealizing something, we're not thinking, let me move this water. and move this water from this computer. We're not thinking about the realities of it. We're not thinking about the backside of it. We're just thinking about the parts that we like. You know what I mean? The parts that what we want to do. It's like when you're young, the child, I want a dog. I want a dog. Okay, that's the beautiful, cuddly and sweet, and then, but the other parts of it, the other responsibilities, we don't often daydream about. Oh yeah, I can't wait to have to pay $3.15 a gallon to fill up my car. I can't wait to pay, you know what I mean, $300 for a missing part. No, if somebody wants a high quality car, a BMW, they want a whatever, a Tesla. They're not thinking about, oh yeah, I can't wait till this one spark plug goes out. And who's thinking about that? We're only thinking about the benefits, especially when we want something. The word said, I was younger, I look forward to being more mature and have more opportunities to do things that I saw adults do. Now I think about the future often as a means towards preparation. Yeah, but we, even though it's we can be told don't be anxious, and then not being anxious is the whole work, right? Being content, learning to be present where we are and still have, how do you balance, since this is what we're talking about, being present, but still having goals, still having ambition, still having drive? How do you balance being content in the moment while you still move towards your goal? Many people find difficulty with that. You know what I mean? And not realizing time waits for no one. So all of this time that we're fast forwarding through, you can never, ever, 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 ever get it back. It's gone. So you just wait, and then when you get to where you're going, we be like, man, I wish I knew. I wish I da 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 da. Now we over here rubbing lamps, over here wishing like we got genies in the bottle. I wish this, that. It's like some parents, they have their children wherever you are in your mind when you're having your children. Oh, I can't wait till they grow up. And then boom, they grow up and you forgot to put whatever you needed to put in that vessel. You forgot to put those ingredients in there. And now they're grown up, but they're still having whatever it is that you as a parent, both parents or family system didn't provide. Now you're trying to work backwards. Girl, I don't know what's wrong with him. I'd be like, what do you mean you don't know what's wrong with him? You the mama. You the daddy. What you mean? Right? Because it's always when we get to over yonder, it's gonna be better. Or so we are led to believe. Have we been deceived, y'all? This is the picture I came across. You take the person out to dinner and she's on her cell phone like this. What's your next move? Wait, let me see. This is the picture. Let me see if I can make it bigger. This is what we're seeing today, right? I'm talking about. So the person is on their cell phone, they're taken out to dinner, and all they can be doing is looking down into their device, whether it be male and female. I've seen both couple and just on the phone. Right in front, you're not talking, you're not, or you may be on the phone texting the person in the same room with you via social media as opposed to speaking to the person face to face, like they're right there. I don't know if I'm coming from a different age. I think that's the weirdest thing ever. I think it's the weirdest thing ever. Right? But this is where we are because these devices are divisive and they have a hold on us. They have a hold on us. And if we don't, so you want the person, usually somebody like that is posting all of these memes. Someone like that is posting, I can't wait to find my king. They on here talking about all the things that they would do. And then you have a potential person in front of you and you're not even present. You don't acknowledge them. You're on your phone, right? So basically the virtual reality of it all is more enticing than the actual flesh and blood person and people. The board says it's disrespectful to be on the phone and not communicating with the person. Yeah, but some people don't think it is. Some people don't think that actual communication, actual contact is necessary anymore. Everything is especially in this day and time, everything is through social media. But this time that we have, it doesn't come back. So, like I always say, how are we spending our time? So I try to tell my children, my daughter's turning 14. Woo, hallelujah. And you look back and you're like, whoa, where did the time go? Even being present, you say, where does the time go? Whoa. Like I remember, and then when your parents used to do it, I'm like, yo, why y'all playing games? But really, now you see why when you were younger, the adults used to be like, oh my goodness, you were just born. You know what I mean? You're like 15. You're like, I was just born, bro. Stop it. But for them, the time is moving, but the time is not moving. You know what I mean? And you only really measure your growth by other people who are still growing. And that's another word too. There may be people around us, like when the adults hit, they're not growing past, whatever the age you stop growing at. You're not growing. So you measure how old you are by how old the people around you are getting. So if you remember a child, or if it's your child and now the child is 20 and 30, you're like, wow, that makes me old, right? So even spiritually and emotionally, if the people around us stop growing, then we don't even realize that we're not growing anymore. But if the people around us are growing, or if one person around us is growing, it reminds us of ourselves. And some people, if you're bringing them from a far place, if they're coming along from when you were at a certain point in development, sometimes they resist that growth. But you used to, but I remember when, well, I don't understand. And why don't you? And then you either spend all your time trying to explain to them that I have continued to evolve, or you let them be. Because some are just, if the person, or if the people group that you knew from college or from high school or from wherever, if the only conversation that they can have for you is, oh man, you remember when, that means they're in the past. If they can't bring it anytime present, yeah, it's good to revisit nostalgia and all that stuff. But if you can't bring it present, what's going on? Truthful perspective. If you can't go forward with it, if you can't say, hey, so what you planning to do now, or what are you getting into now, or you know what I mean? If you can't bring the past and the present into the future, then that relationship or that interaction may be stalled. Check out Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. It emphasizes the importance of being present in the moment. Yeah. I haven't checked it out. I'll probably see if they got some audio book for me, Uzai, so I can listen to it while I'm driving. The power of now is so elusive. It is so elusive. So even in religious spaces, I'm about to step on some toes. Oh, I'm gonna don't step on nobody toe. Oh, I realized, based on the fact that there were many things that in my own personal space I was struggling with. Sometimes when we can't deal with our past and we're not able to be fully present, we either gravitate towards thought processes or ideology that's going to promise us something in the future. I'm not saying that the future will not come. I'm saying that people neglect to live now because their promises in the future. I know I'm probably stepping on some toes, but hey. So in certain spaces, it's like, oh, I'm just going to suffer now because I'm going to go to heaven later, right? When the creator gave you the now, put your effort and energy into what you can fix and how you can grow and and now how you can repent and how, right? So that keeps a lot of people going, because now may be so messed up, or the past may have been so messed up, that the only hope you have is in the future. So you sit out this one, or we convince ourselves that it's nothing for us. So for some people, and I'll tell a story. The other day I was selling uh, at an event, and a man came over. I think this elder European man wanted to eat some food, so he comes over. He's chopping it up, so I'm chopping it up. I'm talking to him. Da 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 da. He's talking about gas price and house price and all this regular stuff. And then he was like, at the end, he was like, I have a question for you. He was all like that, right? So I was like, why? The children always ask, mommy, people always be wanting to talk to you. I'm like, so he's like, yeah, so do you believe that you'll be going to heaven? I'm like, bruh, I'm out here selling jerk sandwiches and playing on cocoa bread. Why are you pulling me into these here types of conversations? Although, I like having these conversations, but bruh, you know what I mean? I'm working. So he won't stop. He's just still pushing. He's still pushing. And the answers I was giving him, he didn't like. So he gonna tell me I sounded like the woman at the well in the New Testament. I was like, yo, and how I'm not answering his question. So when I started to go in, then he double backs. He double backs and eventually he runs off, yo. That was kind of funny. You remember that, Shy?
Mm-hmm.
They looking at me. I was like, see, I was here minding my business, but you insist. Because at which point we have to get into a belief, right? And not to say that there's certain things that we that is not beneficial to subscribe to, but if your belief system robs you of the power of now, the power that the creator has given us to do whatever it is that we need to do, and we solely put it all, like there in a lot of spaces, you solely put the responsibility of the people onto the divine, right? um and it's like, wait a minute. So God is going to give you or come and do that which he's already empowered you to do, because we don't want to do it. So in a lot of these spaces, he's gonna judge. Yes, divine law is going to judge, but you were given righteous judgments that you should judge by. But because we the people don't want to do that, then we put all of the onus and the responsibility onto the creator to do that which man was given the responsibility to do. It gets really weird as we go. What time is it? Into these spaces. And so we waste our now, we waste our time, and then at the end of the day, we're going to come up with all of the reasons why we didn't do that which we were supposed to do. I just think it's weird. I think sometimes humanity, like today, I saw on the news the oldest man to go into space. I'm like, bruh, you have plenty of time. Trust me, to be weightless. When your soul leaves your body and you're no longer grounded to this earth by gravity, you will be floating. So I know you may miss that floating sensation, but you're going to have plenty of time. And you're 90, you're going to have plenty of time to float. Don't worry. Like the time, like again, we're not being present in the now. The amount of souls that anticipate the opportunity to incarnate in the flesh, to have this vehicle to do what it needs to do, the way that the people are fixated with the beyond when you only have a limited time in the now, it is beyond me. Does anybody else think of this type of stuff, or am I tripping? I promise you I don't be smoking them, but I just be like, what is the 90-year-old man? What's the name of the man again? I saw it this morning on the Weather Channel. I'm like, what is he doing in space? Bruh, trust. You about to float in a minute. No worries. No worries. I've been looking more to the here and now, and that's been helping me out of Christianity. I'm sorry, I call it Christianity. Oh, I'm sorry. Christianity and Jehovah Witness mind block. Here and now is the foundation. Yeah, the here and now. You remember that song? I promise to love faithful. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the here and now. The here and now. The here and now. And those are just some of the ways. I don't know where the people who are supposed to be picking up here and now is, but I'm going to wind up in a minute. That is some of the ways that I have learned to be able to gauge where I am in our mind. Sometimes wherever we are in our mind, there you go. That's his name, William Shatner. Yeah, the Star Trek guy. Let me see. Talking about he the oldest in space. I'm like, bruh, trust. You ain't about to have a body in a minute. How old are you? Yeah, 90. I wasn't tripping. That was to when? This week? Last week? Yesterday. Doing the absolute most. Thank you, Deborah. Doing the absolute most. Because we are not present. It's like we want to do everything but that which we're supposed to do. That's the way in which, for some reason, humanity is wired right now. Everything that we're not supposed to do, motivations, everything we're not supposed to do, we want to do, and everything that we're supposed to do, we don't want to do. And that's the rebellion of humanity. Um, I wanted to talk. I guess I'll talk a little bit about, even though it was a bit raunchy, the the hubbub about, what's his name? Oh gosh, Dave Chappelle's comedy special. Um, just again, all things that we're not supposed to do, people want to do. And then we're living in a time, and I think I've spoke about this before, when not only do you want to do it, you want to convince other people that it should be done, so you don't feel uncomfortable doing it, or I don't feel uncomfortable doing it. It's human psychology. So if they said, well, what's the purpose, why are you trying to push your thought processes or your inclinations or how you feel about yourself on me? Because if I make you agree in agreement with me, then you won't make me feel uncomfortable for my choices. They want to see what's beyond because they're looking to make a home on another planet. Yeah, some of them are. I don't know how that's gonna work out. They going in the deep blue sea. They trying to. I mean, y'all doing too much. You're absolutely. You're doing too much because you're going outside of the realm of what is supposed to be. To I am a god. And some people say, well, I don't believe the Genesis narrative. The Genesis narrative says all of this is right. You shall be as gods. He said, you shall be as a god, knowing good and evil. This is what the serpent, right, says to the woman. So then that encapsulates all of what we are witnessing, is that if you're a God, that means you have the ability to create. You have the ability to make laws and rules and change things, change times, do all of these things because you are the creator in the mind of the person, right? So they can change boundary markers. They can change male to female, female to male. In the mind of the person, they have bitten of the forbidden fruit and they aspire to be as gods. So all of the things, a lot of the things that we're seeing is coming from, if you say, where is this fruit coming from? It's coming from that tree. It's coming from that root. And it's a corrupted root, right? So all of the fear mongering that's being pushed in today's space and time is to keep us, the majority of the people, in a lower vibration so that we'll be easier to be controlled. Because if you're fearful for what? Life, then you're going to be more susceptible to whatever suggestions and whatever. You won't be present because you're anticipating. Back to time doesn't wait. You're anticipating, so you won't be present. And the present is all we have, right? The present is all we have. I just wanted to come in and share that, and then also double check why my Facebook side wasn't working. Time waits for no one, and nothing goes. Everything will come into account. Everything will come into account. Whether you believe you, the physical soul, will remanifest, whether you believe that the sins of your forefathers will be revisited upon the children to the third and fourth generation, that's still whatever was created in this space around you, in your energy system, in your soul family, that energy is going to be revisited. Right now we're living in, whether good or bad, someone else's karmic creation. Whether we want, hey Sylvia, what's going on? Whether we want to believe it or not, let me put the link in the box. You guys could come in and share your thoughts. And again, I've touched on these topics because just looking at all of the different branches on the tree, it seems to be all interconnected. Yeah, and every day, you wake up and it's like more of the same, like we're in Groundhog Day or something. Hold on a second. Like we're in Groundhog Day. I don't know if you guys can join. Look, y'all gonna help me do testing a little bit. Let me see if you can join from the Facebook side. I know you can join from the YouTube side. So I'm gonna press to see. Why not? Yeah, this dude up here floating in space. I'm like, bruh, that looks great and all, but trust. When you are floating, there's no coming back down. Wait, hold on. Oh, but if I mean, truthfully enough, people have been saying it's the end of times for the longest time. I don't see that link here. Hold on, let me click this. People have been saying it's the end of times for the longest time. For every generation. Okay, not this thing. It's the end of time. You know what I mean? So at which point do so where the little things went? Oh no. Let me see if I can click on it from my phone. From my phone. How come I don't see anything else? Hmm, that is fascinating. I don't see the link that I just put. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. One second. I only see a few over here. Yeah. So basically, time does not wait. Apply yourself, whatever it is, positive growth. The time is now. I made a song. Uh, it took a long time for that song. It's like I wrote the song, I forget when, and then it took like 2 years to actually record the song and finish the song. And the name of the song was "The Time Is Now." The name of the song is "The Time Is Now." Let me see if I. And that was it was funny because sometimes, like I was telling my daughter, sometimes when I'm writing, when I have time, I can actually hear the lyrics in the song, in the instrument of the song. So when I heard this particular song, that's what I heard. The time is now. So sometimes we say, "Oh, we're gonna just, you know, whatever." When this happens, when that happens, when this happens, when that happens, and not always, but when it is supposed to be what it is, if we don't move on it, then we've missed the opportunity. Yes, but who wants it to be the end? Like say you taking a test and you not three-fourths through the test, yeah, and the time is near. The time has come to the end, and you know that if you don't finish, you're gonna fail. Who wants the time to be done? Some people will say, "Yeah, I want the time to be done." It's like, but how do you know that you are completed enough of the test to make sure that you pass? Because this is not only just about what wicked people are doing or what other people are doing. This is also about the opportunity that we've been given. Like we weren't born with them. When we came, we saw them here, or they came and was born after us. So everybody, although we're all here, some people are getting more attention than others. Some people are doing whatever they're doing, but the reality is at the end of the day, it's your test. It's my test individually. Collectively we are a society, but individually as that soul, we have things that we need to overcome, that we need to purge, that we need to deal with, whether we know them or not. And although in this space and time they may have us to think that it's about bills and light bill and and food bill and all of these things, they may have us to think that life is beyond. That's why they keep us in this space so that we don't continue to evolve and grow as these beings. Am I tripping? Shalom says, oh, shalom, brother. How are you? Thank you. Thank you. I said, let me come on here real quick. Let me come on here real quick. So they bog us down with a lot of other things. We bog ourselves down with a lot of extra baggage, a lot of extra things. Talking about we waiting for the time to be up. Bruh, are you ready? Are we ready? Or are we just ready for somebody else to receive judgment? You know what I mean? For somebody else to get what's due to them, not realizing that the mercy that has been granted, the Creator has given us mercy and granted us time, is so that we can repent and get ourselves together. For whatever it is, you fill in the blank after that. The futuristic salvation vibe got beefed up by Rome trying to get Jews off the scene at the time of the New Testament. It was a war zone back then. Yep. I mean, that's a whole nother thing, brother. But yeah, this whole we have to look at how these thoughts have been formed, um, where they go from here, and how they deal with our reality, how we ingest this information, and how we do or do not do the things that we should be doing because of whatever thought processes or ideology we hold. Like he said, that there are some things around this futuristic talk, this futuristic salvation that was desirable at the time to get people through. It's just like during slavery, it was advantageous to hold on to a certain thought, to this by and by, so that you can get through the difficult times. We can't be in spiritual zone if thinking on the worldly. Share that with us, because this is share more, Deborah, about the spiritual versus thinking of the worldly, and how does one balance that here. There are many, like I said, people, doctrines and thought processes who, because leaning heavily on the spiritual has more wiggle room than manifesting here in the physical, many people use it because how do you test proof it? Right? So some people separate the two, when in reality, if you're moving in a spiritual realm, you will have physical manifestation, point blank, because one births the other. Right? The physical is birthed out of the spiritual realm. If anybody disagree, let me know. I put the link in the box. I like to have a conversation. You want to have a conversation? I don't know. The physical is birthed from the spiritual realm. We were first in the spiritual realm, and then we were birthed into the physical realm, right? So, how does one stay in the now with being, Deborah says she agrees, with being a physical being holding a spiritual understanding? How do you manifest that? Because in some spaces, the thought is, if you are striving for wealth and abundance, you are worldly. When the reality is, a manifestation of spiritual abundance is physical abundance. But because many of us have been so caught into lack, we think that abundance means worldliness, it means fleshliness. There's a disconnect. And then they say they're going to have the mansion in the hereafter, they're going to have all the things in the hereafter, but it's for now. We have to, or the thought process, suffer wrongfully until you get those things. And part of the transfer of wealth is those who don't hold the spiritual understanding are the ones who are being empowered by the physical things. So now they have the people who are spiritually aware in bondage. Why? Because you gave them the power through giving them the physical things that gives them the power. I know I seem to be talking in circles. Let me try to clean it up. In some spaces, we have been sold a lie, misconception, misunderstanding, however we want to put it. And so the people who do not hold the spiritual understanding, they collect the power, they collect the resources, they collect the capital, they collect the power, and then they lord it over those who would do right with it. It's like when the wicked reign versus when the righteous reign. So the wicked is reigning, someone is going to reign. And so when the wicked reigns, when they exact taxes and labors and put levies on people and do all kind of things, is because on the other side, the righteous disconnected the reality, the responsibility of the resources from governing their environment. And they put it into the future, they put it into the heavens, and therefore you give it over to the wicked to reign. And now the righteous cry. Let me see if I could get that scripture. I feel in the mood today. Do we? Oh, you want water? Because we put it in another place. We put it in another place. For instance, let's see. Of course, it would be Proverbs. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Proverbs 29, 1 and 2, right? So Solomon, who was ruling at a certain time, is sharing these thoughts of some of what we are, a lot of what we're experiencing today, space and time. Because when the people who have the resources are exploiting the people who don't have the resources. The rulers of this world are, let me put it up here. Now is the time for us to rise, but we must have a spiritual knowledge and understanding in order to do so and to rule righteously. And from what I'm seeing, sadly, Deborah, from what I'm seeing, I agree with you. And the reality is that the little bit of power that the righteous are getting, they're showing you what they would do with it if they had more. So that big if, in order for this to happen, we're not even seeing that. And the examples are the people who say they're righteous, or maybe because I've been watching this documentary called what is it, Cults? It's People's Magazine cult documentary. They had like 6 different ones, right? They had like 6 different ones, and they went over Jim Jones. They went over what's the next one name? Yahweh Ben Yahweh. They went over, and I know some people are going to be like Amuna, but I'm just looking at the overview, not any. They went over, what's his name? Dr. York, and they went over like 3 more. And I'm looking, comparing and contrasting whether this one, what ideology, it didn't matter the ideology, because in certain ideologies, people can tweak things. They had a charismatic leader. They had whatever the ideology was. They had people not being present in their bodies, looking for the future salvation, right? So basically you had to have, it's like a formula. They had to have a group of people who wanted to get out, who wanted to get away, who wanted to look for this utopia type of environment. And then they had a system in which to operate. And all of these things, the formula, is what created the environment that did much harm and injury to the people, because they forewent common sense. They looked over a whole lot of things and gave their trust and the responsibility of governing themselves. They gave it over to their leader, and many people were hurt in the process. Share more about the humanism, truthful perspective. What are your thoughts? Share more about that. I mean, we have already been given the answers. It's really just the application. It's like we already know what to do. Is the fact that we're just not doing it. You know what I mean? Because we have different appetites, we have different tastes, we have different desires. The majority of us already know what to do. It's just the fact that we are not applying ourselves to do it. So, and or we are stuck. We're stuck. And or doing it requires more energy and effort than we have to give. For instance, sorry. For instance, if you plant a strawberry bush and you plant a lemon tree side by side, one is going to come forth, bear fruit quicker. You're going to be able to consume it. Another one is going to take a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of growth in order to get it to the point that it can actually bear the fruit and bear the fruit for a long period of time. So if we don't have enough energy and resources, you're going to go for the quick fix, the strawberry. You're going to go for the thing that's going to bear you the fruit in a couple of months, as opposed to waiting 5 years or 10 years for this lime tree or this lemon tree or this whatever the fruit tree is to get grounded and rooted enough to give you back that which you need and desire. It's kind of the same thing. So when we go for these thought processes, we're going for something that's going to give us the feedback loop is shorter. We go for something that's going to give us that sensation and that feeling quicker. This is why a lot of people, when they're in the church and they're giving you that feeling, they're hitting the piano and they're hitting the chords and they're hitting the keyboard and they're shouting and they're hollering, is giving you the feeling that, hey, something is happening. This is moving, as opposed to having to be still or having to, really reflect or having to really be in a conversation. That it would be like, hey, I don't feel like nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. And if we're not rooted, we may feel like, hey, we need this quick fix. You know what I mean? Not to say that the other way is not the way. It's just that we don't have enough confidence to go in that way. It's not neglecting the here and now, but also not overlooking the mortality and higher power. Torah base would just be moving our power. I'd have to look into more of that. I'll have to look into more of that. I know that, there's a lot of stuff out there. I'm not trying to throw anybody this way or that way. I'm just sharing. I try to share in the overlap, in the parts that, people could just meditate on and touch and agree on. And so I'm not versed in that. Thanks for sharing that. I will look into it. I'm not versed in it and all that it entails, but the here and now is all we really have. That's what I wanted to share today. It's what we have. So be present. I know it's difficult sometimes, especially when where we are is not where we want to be. Especially when where we are is not where we want to be. It makes it very difficult. But if we look at the situation, if we look at the circumstance, if we learn the lesson, then prayerfully we do not have to revisit that space and be in that energy center while we're in that space. But if we run out of that space, if we fight our way out, whatever it is that we do, that we don't learn the lesson, life is going to throw it back on you again. That's a promise. We don't get away with nothing. All it does is change its clothes and come back. And we're like, oh, we're glad we got out of that. Boom, here it comes again. And you're like, well, why does this keep happening to me? Because we didn't learn our lesson. We didn't learn our lesson. When you learn your lesson, then you can go on. And the more we resist the more it shows up, and it gets harder and harder and harder. You know what I mean? The more it shows up and it gets worse. And I'm speaking loud enough for my children to hear, so that they prayerfully don't have to loop. Sometimes when we were young, it's like go on side. Grown-ups are talking, right? So when grown-ups are talking, then they put you off to the corner for whatever they're talking about. We don't know. But when they're talking to you, they're talking at you kind of a way, right? And so you still didn't get the lessons. So I tried to talk to my children. I tried to say when I'm talking about certain things, and I know they stay eavesdropping because that's what children do. Right, children? She over there laugh. That's what they do. We get them to understand that certain mistakes you don't need to you don't necessarily have to make. It's like, yeah, today I'm gonna do an event in the end of the month, right? And I look at all of this ways in which the comedians on social media say or show us that with each generation we're losing something. So yesterday I saw a TikTok where they were trying to illustrate that they were losing the ability to tell time with the regular clock. right? And by the time they got to those who born in 2000s, everything is so digital that they don't know how to tell time on a regular clock with a minute hand and an hour hand. So it is with writing, so it is with penmanship, so it is with writing script and all of these things that they think is no longer important to do. So I went to the senior center today because there's going to be an event there. So the lady is writing, an old lady, old lady. Let me see if I can see. And I was just so marveled. Uh-uh. Not the fact that all these old people are just alive and walking around, because it's a beautiful thing to see them still active and moving, but the way she with ease just wrote in script something that is being lost in today's space of time, something that is not being taught to the children. They're not even speaking in full sentences oftentimes, not all, because of the texting culture, because of this culture and the shorthand culture. The fullness of the words are not being spelled out, much less reading the handwriting, much less writing in cursive. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, look at Granny. She's doing what she was taught. So how we do what we are taught, or we adapt to what however we can find ways to do what it is that we're doing. You know what I mean? So instead of just saying, "Oh, these children don't know," da 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 da. How are they gonna know if we don't tell them? How are we gonna know if we don't think it's important to share? How they gonna know to, hey, slow down and value where you are right now, if you don't tell them, hey, there's no rewind on this thing. Not in that way. Not in that way at all. Rasta could be a form of humanism, no spookism. Just now, hold on, Ronald. He gonna make me have to look up this thing. One second, then I'm gonna wind down. Hold on. Because sometimes, reason why I'm apprehensive, because I know how, not you, but how, things can be wrapped in other things. And I'm mindful how I share things. So let's read it, since Ronald is bringing it up. An outlook or system of thought attaching prime importance to human rather than divine or supernatural matters. Humanist beliefs stress the potential value and goodness of human beings, emphasize common human needs, and seek solely rational ways of solving human problems. I would have to look into what it said here. An outlook or system of thought attaching prime importance to human rather than divine or supernatural matters. The latter part sounds like what I'm talking about. The beginning part, with rather than divine or supernatural, I think there, for me, I would object at that part, because there, I don't think it would need to be rather than. But for me, it wouldn't need to be rather than. I mean, there is a balance, because there are things that humanity is responsible for, that they are shifting onto the divine, but there is a major part that divine order plays in as human existence. What's going on, Miss Michelle? Miss Michelle, holla back at me, Miss Michelle. Holla back at me, Miss Michelle. Okay, what does a humanist believe? We're going to school today. Humanists reject the idea or belief in a supernatural being. See, that's why I was hesitant. This is why when I don't know, I don't have any problem saying I don't know. You know what I mean? Because I like to know. I like to know, you know what I mean, before I be like, yeah. So that's why it's not that I'm ignoring more time. I might be like, I got to go check that out. Because now I'm seeing, what does a humanist believe? Humanists reject the idea or belief in a supernatural being such as God. See, I wouldn't be able to rock with that. This means that humanists class themselves as agnostic or atheists. Humanists have no belief in the afterlife, and so they focus on seeking happiness in this life. You know what I mean? So that's why in conversation, I like conversation. There's many things we learn, but if you see me holding off, it's because if I say I don't know, I don't know. And I might have to look that up. Let's see. Yeah, it gets slippery. Because so basically, man is God. Humanists go back to the you shall be as gods. The man doesn't believe in God because the man is a God to a certain degree. No? Let me know. Any humanists out there, y'all want to share some thoughts here? because a little it gets a little suspect up in here. Yeah, I think this may be on the other end of the spectrum. It may be all the way. Truthful perspective say, well, maybe that. I think this is all the way. This is all the way on the other end of the spectrum. I just think that there's parts that we the people can do that we ought not to do through whatever reason, and we some heavily blame the divine for the things that humanity is supposed to do, and then assume divine roles for the thing. Basically, it's flip flopped. We assume divine roles for the thing that the divine is supposed to do, and then we abdicate our responsibilities to do the things that humans are supposed to do. If that makes sense, basically, you over there doing the manager's job, but your job ain't done. But I will go ahead and wind down because it is 5 o'clock, and we're gonna go ahead and roll up out of here. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and rocking with me. Miss Michelle, I'll give you a call in a second. Let me know your thoughts. Was that confusing? Did it make any sense? Is it adding up? Is the math mathing? If you have any questions or comments that you would like to share, feel free to do so. And we'll talk again soon. All righty.